Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In this episode, we're going to be building a new front undertray. The front undertray that belongs on this Lotus Evora, mine got damaged. A replacement one from factory is $650 plus shipping, and it's a massive thing. It's the whole size of this front end. So we're going to go ahead and fabricate our own. I got a bunch of aluminum behind me, and we're all good to go on fabricating our own. What this does on this car is it improves aerodynamics. When the air is flying under the car, it creates a low pressure area. This whole car is aluminum basically plated all the way back, and then there's a functioning rear diffuser. It creates a low pressure area going all the way across the car. When the air is able to release, it comes out away from that diffuser and it sucks the car down to the ground a little bit more. I'm not a master with physics, but it's real shit. And why you guys might want to have one on your car is a lot of cars come with either a rock guard, or they call it a splash guard, or a mud guard, or a lot of different, well, mud guards go over the wheels. They kind of call them normally like rock guards and stuff. It helps from crap flying up underneath your car and getting at your components, like your power steering rack, and most people have an engine right there, although I do not. And also, if you're into the drifting or you hit the track once in a while, some tracks do require you to have, they might call it a catch pan or all the things I said before. They might require you to have something under there that if you have little drip drops coming out of maybe your power steering or your oil or something else like that, to catch it, make sure it doesn't hit the track. So this is pretty easy to build. It's going to be pretty fun. Stay tuned. All right, I got my car jacked up and I got plenty of space to work under here. The way I see this is it's really going to come down to taking correct measurements. So I got my pad and paper and my measuring tape. I'm going to take plenty of time. That way when I cut into this massive piece of aluminum, I don't just scrap the whole thing on the first try. So yeah, I'm going to get down there and I'm just going to start measuring out the way I need pieces. And this is going to be in 2 pieces because the car kind of, it made it easy that way. It has this bolting piece in the middle. So this piece should be cut to size already. So I'll test fit that down there and then I'll start measuring out my second piece. All right, so I'm kind of just now realizing how hard this is going to be to film under the car most of the time, but I will do my best. So here's what we're going to do. We have this piece of plate aluminum that we got cut to the right size. And what we want to do is we want to fill the width from where that piece is all the way over to where that piece is. Now those pieces are designed to be quick removable in case drivers want to modify their front sway bar linkage, which is not something I'm going to be doing. This isn't meant to be like a race track car, so it's not going to be like a quick swap type of thing. So I'm going to eliminate these and replace it with one solid piece going all the way across. So the idea is we're going to go from basically where that jack is up to here with that piece, and then with the other piece we're going to go from here to the front bumper in the very front. So the next thing I'm going to do is, if you look at that bolt right there, those are the bolting points that I need for my sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and drip a little bit of paint on the bottom of those bolts. I'm going to slide in my piece of aluminum, snug it up against there just right exactly where I want it, so it'll essentially paint dots on here. That's where I'm going to go ahead and drill holes in my aluminum. Alright, well the paint on the bottom of the bolt trick didn't really come out as precise as I was wanting, but luckily I'm seeing a bit of a pattern, so both of these are exactly 2 inches from the inside and 1.5 inches from the back. So I'm going to go ahead and measure those out equally, make a little dot, and then go ahead and drill these out and test fit it back into the car again. Alright, test fitting went great. There's only 2 more mods we need to do to this before we can drill the holes to where it mounts up in the front. So here's our mounting hardware for the back. We got these little spacers that go against the subframe of the car, and then the bolts go on the outside. Eventually I'll need to grab some washers for these bolts. Again, we have to break all this down later anyway, so there'll be a washer on the outside of this bolt. That'll come from underneath, spacer between the aluminum and the body, and then bolts all up in the body. So right here, you'll see I have this little notch out, and the same on the other side. That is for, if you can imagine that the sway bar runs underneath there, at the end of the sway bar, there's a bend and it kind of kinks down and it needs just a little bit of room to potentially like sway down. So it's either going to be death wheel for that job or tin snips. I'm going to try and figure out which one is going to be the most gentle on this. And once we cut those out, then we could test fit it again and measure out where our front holes go. We successfully modified that and had a good test fitting, and we tested it out with our spacers up here on the front. So then I went ahead and used the paint on the end of the bolt thing because I can't think of anything better, and got this one. This time it worked a little bit better. Didn't try and do two at once. And anyway, so we got our 4 holes marked out, and that's where it mounts up to the front of the lower subframe. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill these holes out, and then this piece will be completed. Alright, so we got those holes drilled nicely, and I just threw it under here for a nice test fitting, make sure all the holes line up correctly, and they did. So you can see we have the spacers. Those are the OEM spacers that space the last front under tray off of the front subframe. So we're just following their model, the way they designed it. So the next piece bolts into that same place. There'll be some overlap, and it's going to extend out to the front bumper. So it's not exactly square. You got to cut it to match the roundness of the front bumper, and then over here we want it to make it to over here, but then we got to cut it out so it doesn't block the wheel and tire. So very careful measurements on this one. Alright, we got that piece cut out. That piece is the piece that slides in under the front and mates up with our other piece. This piece is the one that will get cut round to match with our bumper line. So now I got to go test fit it under there. I'm going to find out where we're cutting this piece right about here, and then eventually I need to draw that line out to where the bumper curves in and cut that out too. Okay, so the front piece of the under tray has now been cut and measured, and we went ahead and came through here and drilled out the holes to where it bolts into the front subframe. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to come underneath the car. We're going to bolt in that back piece. We're going to mock up this front piece. We're going to slot this inside the bumper, and we're going to bolt that up so everything's going to be mock fit the right way. Then we will use the holes on the underside of the bumper as pilot holes and drill through those holes and through this piece, and that'll drill our holes for our rib nuts. Then we'll take it back off and throw the rib nuts inside this piece. Alright, out of all that, I only got the 2 corner holes able to be drilled out. The rest of them are marked, and I'm going to go ahead and use a punch and drill those out and install the rib nuts in them. And then we can do final assembly. Woohoo! Alright, we've got all the rib nuts installed. This is one of those times where you gotta really hope that your measurements are very, very exact. So if you guys are wondering what these things look like, these are aluminum rib nuts because we're putting them into aluminum. So you drill a hole the exact same size as the outer shell of this, you punch it through, and then you use the rib nut gun and it kind of squeezes it down, and it does that little pancake thing that you can see right there on there, and that'll suck them in. If my TIG welder is out of gas, if it wasn't out of gas, what I would do is I'd come in here on the other side and I would weld those to the aluminum, and we still might do that later actually before the final installation. Alright, speaking of installation though, it's time to do like a test final style fitting. So we're going to install both pieces, that one over there and this one right here, and bolt everything together, make sure it all fits. All right, it's done. It's all bolted up. Everything fits really well. I'm gonna do my best to show you guys around down here. So up in the front, I got large washers to cover the fiberglass. There's kind of a slot in the fiberglass that bolt is going into. Large washers, and I did an Allen head hex key bolt through those riv nuts on the inside. So we have, like I said earlier, we have 6 of those around, and then on the outside where you can get a nut and a bolt on, we just threw a nut and a bolt on the outside. That piece goes down to the front subframe here, where we have 4 bolts that go across, bolting up into the front subframe, and then we have our secondary piece that goes all the way back and joins into the frame right there. And then you can look all the way down the car and see the rest of the undertray. And that's where you really get the performance improvements and the aerodynamic improvements, when you go straight from the front bumper all the way back with that flat bottom down there. The air exits out through the back there, and the diffuser, I don't know, does some magic to it and helps keep this car stuck to the ground a little bit. For those keen viewers, I didn't throw the spacers in up here because they're going to be a total pain in the ass, and all this has to be taken apart. Well, at least this part has to be taken apart or taken off the bumper one more time before the car is going to be finished. So this is kind of temporary, but yeah, it came together really nicely. So this part was a $620 part, and I built it for, I think, about $50 in aluminum, and we have a little extra aluminum and about $4 in bolts. It also looks pretty cool now when you look down through the headlight hole, which won't exist here for a long time, but you can see the aluminum coming through. And oh, you can't see it in there, but you can see it over here too. Makes it look so clean. All right, guys, that is a wrap on our front undertray diffuser, rock guard, whatever you want to call it. Lotus calls it a front undertray. I hope this was helpful. If any of you guys want to follow this at home, let me know how it goes. If there's anything that I can help improve on, I will try, and if I can answer any questions, just let me know. If you want to build a diffuser for your car, if you don't have the whole like undertray style thing that I have going on, you just want to build a front diffuser, follow all those steps. And then my advice would be on your frame rails that just kind of, you know, they're right in here. On your frame rails, build something that extends down to meet with your front diffuser and bolts on there really strong, and then bolt them again back somewhere on your front subframe, and use a material that is much, much more sturdy than this aluminum. And the rule of thumb is if you can stand on it, it's good. And that will work as a way to build a front diffuser. But follow all the same steps, tracing out the front bumper and all that other stuff. It works really well. And the best advice I can give with this is, it is very hard to film under the car, but the best advice I can give with this is measure twice, cut once. It's kind of the rule of thumb, everybody knows that, but it really, really matters on this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like Beast for Build and what we're doing here and you want to support, if you're watching live, we are still in the CoPart challenge. We're trying really hard to win that bad boy. So there's a link in the description of this video. Head on over there and vote for our plan A, B, or Z in the CoPart challenge, CoPart Rebuilder challenge. And that would help us very much. If you're not watching this live, or if you are watching this live and you want to support another way, we have Patreon, but we also have our shop. So head over to bsforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop. There you'll find our t-shirts, our hats. We got key tags and drink koozies and stickers and all sorts of great stuff. All the proceeds of that go directly towards this build. Speaking of this build, there's some news, some very important news about this build, and it will drop in an episode tomorrow. So. Yeah, it's an off the schedule episode, but there's a lot of stuff I need to talk about, so that will drop tomorrow, and then we'll be back to work on it this weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more BS for Build, social media wise, head over to facebook.com/BS4Build or BS for Build on Instagram. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and hit that subscribe button. Peace.
Here we go.